Is it on?
It's on, yeah.
Good morning. We're so glad you all are here to learn and hear more about our living waters. And I recognize so many familiar faces that I know already know about living waters, but we're anxious to show you about our trip that we did last fall. Guy is not here to open us, so we have asked Carson to open our class with prayer, short prayer.
The Lord be with you. Let us pray. Dear God, we are grateful for the beauty of this day, for your love and presence with us and all people. Grateful for this ministry where we can reach out and touch the lives of others with the gift of water. We thank you for the generosity and the gifts of this congregation that makes that possible. In Christ's name, amen.
Well, as you know, Living Waters for the World has been part of Westminster since 2007. In 2007, I actually was part of a small group of dedicated members of Westminster who introduced Living Waters for the World to Westminster. And we are so thrilled that Westminster quickly endorsed this wonderful mission as a meaningful way to live out the word and love our neighbors. It started obviously in Peru, which we now are also in Tennessee. So we've got neighbors all over the world.
Also,
In Tennessee,
okay.
we do installs in Tennessee that you'll hear a little bit more about. We had learned about this small group of Presbyterians who had been motivated in 1993 to begin Living Waters for the World. The staggering facts of unclean water in our world led this group to design a simple purification system that would take contaminated water and turn it into drinkable water. They began to train volunteers from their churches, and here's where the miracle occurred. The idea planted in the hearts of those first few took root and grew. But the statistics are incredible. They have improved over the last 40 years, but the world still is in a world water crisis, not only internationally, but also in Tennessee, that you'll hear about. In fact, the original group grew beyond their wildest imagination. Now, tens of thousands of volunteers, just like you and me, joined in the ministry to share clean water with God's children around the globe. Today, over 1,060 systems have been installed in over 26 countries. We are now organized into 11 network regions. Our Westminster group was led to Peru in 2007 as we experienced the great need there. Peru is a large and diverse country with beautiful and different cultures. It continues to struggle as an economically developing country with political strife and much poverty. Unclean water is a wide problem. We have worked and installed systems from the Amazon jungle regions. So many of you have traveled in Peru, but so the Amazon region, Iquitos is right here, right in the midst of the Amazon. And we've worked originally from here, but all the way down to the Machu Picchu Sacred Valley area here. So Peru is a large country, and it's amazing how we sometimes feel very spread out, which we are. It has been part of our challenge, but we just kept seeing need and we kept going to these wonderful places. We have worked and installed systems from the Amazon jungle down, as I said, to the Andes Mountains in the Sacred Valley. We have provided systems and training in churches, schools, and boys' homes. Over the years, a Peru network has been established with 4 other churches from the U.S. whom we partner with and share the expense of 3 in-country staff who assist us to work more efficiently. So, whoops. The Living Waters for the World is a organization that's actually based in Franklin, Tennessee. Amazing. But it started, the original group there were ministers, and so they have the home base there. And it started with the core values of being relationship oriented. We work in relationship with the partners in the communities. We don't go in and just say, you know, here we are, here's your system. We really want to build a relationship with them and become part of their family there. We are operator partner focused. The OPs, which we are, the operating partner, the operating partner are who we are working with there. We are the initiating partner that initiates the program with them through our operating partner. We want to empower our partners there with training and equipping and sustaining them to be able to work on their own systems and maintain it. We are strictly a volunteer program. We have maybe 4 or 5 paid staff members, but all these other thousands of other people working on it are volunteers. We're mission focused in that we are providing clean and safe water to those who desperately need it with no cost to them. And then over the years, it got so large that we became network focused. As I had said, we are now part of a Peru network, and there are 16 other networks across the world. So after being gone, after the pandemic, Peru suffered a hard and long shutdown due to the pandemic. So we were so excited to be able to return this past fall after many delays of our going, but it wasn't safe to travel there. And we were so anxious to get back and revisit our friends and take new parts and service their systems. So we planned after a lot of planning, we planned on visiting 5 of our systems. It was way too broad to see all of them. So we started in the in the north part of the country where it was safer to travel. And we covered over almost 10,000 miles of getting there and traveling all around. So we were on the move in 9 days' time. It was a fun but long trip. We had to take our breath several times. So we're going to hear more about these 5 sites that we traveled to. But this top one is the Moyobamba Church. So these are an example of what we. So this is a big church in a town of Moyobamba. And then this is a school nearby in Yantalo, one of our most successful. So it's out in a more rural area, and it's a school that has about 300 students. And then this is more isolated off the Taya River, and we'll show you more about that. And then this one down here is Kauai, which is it's south of Lima. And then this one is south of Lima too, in a town called Ica. So these are where the 5 places that we visited. In addition to those sites, we learned of 3 other additional sites that we were able to interview, and they were anxious to talk to us and tell us what their needs were. So we traveled, we visited in Iquitos, outside of Iquitos and Moyobamba, these 2 beginning churches and schools, and this Annie Soper is an existing school, all without clean water.
Oh, yeah. Well, like Beth said, we did like 10,000 miles in 9 days. So the first day we get off the plane, we stay in a hotel overnight, get up early in the morning, and we're on a domestic flight to Tarapoto, which is only part of the way to where we're going to Moyobamba. We've got to get in a van and drive up this mountain, twisting road, 2 lanes, half of it's washed out. and it was just really fun. But anyway, we get to Moyobamba and we go to the church and find out that the churches had a division, and the water team left with the rest of the church that we don't know where they are. And the people remaining didn't know where the literature was on the system. They didn't know where the parts were. They still had the water running and were still providing it to the members of the church in groups that came in, but they weren't testing it to see if it was actually purified or not. So this, let me see if I can do the little pointer thingy. Red for red. Oh, this is Beth and myself. We are going on a scavenger hunt. And we went through, it was fun because you found all kinds of old church stuff, but we also found the manuals and we found parts and we found stuff under the stairwell. And so we got it all together. And then Doug and Carson and Edgar, who is are part of the Peruvian team. There are 3 members down there that work together with us. So the guys got together and got that system up and running and clean, put new filters in. We left the manuals with them. We left the testing kits to actually test the water to be sure it's purified. And so we had planned a dinner like 5 o'clock. Well, we threw the schedule out the first day. 10 o'clock, we made it to dinner. And this was really fun, though. We got to meet with the water committee, people that work on the system there still. This is the pastor, Chip, his name, Chip. And this is Hugo, one of the members there, who is now a teacher at the Annie Soper School, where we went to the next day. So anyway, we got that system up and running, or the guys did. Wow, I really flicked through there, didn't I? Here we go. So, I got it. Yes. Okay, this is walking home at night to our hotel room. El portón, hospedaje, el portón, it means the gateway or the gate, the door. And so we're walking back to our motel after dinner. So it's almost like midnight now. And this is the street, the doorway to our little hospedaje. You walk through this door off the street and you're in this beautiful garden and these beautiful painted rustic little, hotel rooms. It was so exciting. And this is Alfonso here, who owns the hotel and runs that. And he helps a lot of the mission people coming through, different mission trips coming through. So he was able to get us, help us with transportation. This is the modes of transportation. There are no cars that are going to come up the river on a boat. So not many people have cars, but they do have lots of motor taxis and motorcycles. And here we are eating our first lunch together. Edgar joining us at La Olla, which just means the jug, but it was really awesome food. Okay, so we're talking about we heard about Annie Soper through Hugo, who was with us at dinner that first night. And he's teaching at the school. And this is the Annie Soper School. It's a Presbyterian-based school or affiliated. The Amazon basin is having the worst drought in 120 years. A lot of the people now are digging wells, and they're just amazed they have to do this. Here we are in this beautiful lush land, and it's known for the rain, and here we are digging wells because of the drought, but also because of the agricultural yeah, they're draining the rivers to grow asparagus. I mean, they've got a lot of wonderful crops coming up, but they aren't managing the water well. So this is the well that they have dug, and they've got it piped in through this. I don't know if I have a picture. Yeah, down here, comes into this little room into off the school. And this is Edgar here testing the water, and it's great. It does not have bacteria, but it's so heavily sedimented, so it's not really drinkable, but they can use it for the facilities outside. This, they have out the bathrooms and, oops, oh darn. Oh, this is what I was going to point out. One of the classes is outside here. The kids were doing band practice. It was just, it was so lush, flowers and everything. We were there in the springtime, October, so we got to see lots of butterflies. And did I skip one? I'm so sorry. Here we go. Then, so after Anisoper, we get back in the van. We got to Anisoper by motor taxi, rushed back to our hotel, got on a van, and drove to Llantolo. And Llantolo is the head of this region that's known for thousands of orchids. So, I mean, there were orchids growing in the trees, and they presented us with these sweet little artificial orchids. But the most fun part of this was that we were rock stars at this wonderful school. 450 students, the teachers, the staff, everybody, parents showed up for us. They sang songs, they gave speeches, they made us give speeches. That was too fun. But Carson was like, I mean, everybody wanted Carson's autograph. Look at the girls. I mean, they're just adoring Carson. He is. Amen. But I mean, the kids wanted our autographs. The little girls had little autograph books like we used to have in grammar school. And the page they had open to for us to sign in Spanish, it said, the autographs of people I hope to see in heaven. I mean, half the time we're crying and half the time we're laughing because it's so cute. And they've got their speeches and their signs. And Alma, one of the mothers who helped get living waters to the school, brought us the bananas and plantains, guava, pineapple, things they had grown in their garden. They were just so thankful for Westminster. Oh, and Beth said that system went in 5 years ago. And now it is like the, I mean, it's the high point of living waters in Peru. They have got a Luis Sotomayor. He is, oh, I am so challenged technically. Where did it go? Maybe I should give this to you, Doug. Oh, okay. Point to Luis. He is the manager of the water systems there. Sophia Stravinos on the right in that middle picture, she's our translator who came from Greece by way of England, I mean, she's just this world traveler doing all these kind of amazing mission works. So this is their water system to the left. They bring the 4th through 6th grade kids through to learn the system, to learn how to run it and manage it. So someday they're going to be able to go on and do this work themselves and be paid for it, you know, as a paying job. The water is distributed to the families of the school. And you can see, yeah, those are the water jugs that are filled and given to the students and their families. So. Is this still my slide? I guess so. Okay, this was still being the wonderful hosts that they are. The directors of the school, the one lady in blue there in the middle. Oh, it's not just me. He's IT. So, sorry, Doug. So this is one of the 2 directors right there in the middle. They served us these wonderful homemade delicacies, and those are little coffee cordials. Wow, that's good stuff. And we had, oh, and the fellow on the left in the yellow shirt, Whitmer, he is the head of the PTA, and he was just so grateful for the water system. And on the far right, Carson and Doug got them downloaded with all the materials that they need now are online. So you don't have to refer to those manuals that keep getting lost. And there are videos, how-to videos. And so Sophia was also helping get that lined up. Okay. And this is the front of the school. Those are the rice is drying from local growers. They bring it in just in front of the school. They've got it set out to dry before it is bagged. And down in the lower left, these are the homes across the street from the school. And I wanted to see the chickens, but they were locked behind a door. There are chickens in one of the homes. There's Pablo looking at the roads, trying to figure out if we're going to make it or not to the next destination. They were muddy and torn up. They're building a new highway through, trying to connect with the Amazon. And there is Luis, who's the head of the water system department. He is on his motorbike, helping get us backed up and turned around. And then this, I was saying Whitmer, who's head of the PTA, his family began this Yantalo Foundation, and it is amazing medical facility. And the brigades, or what they call the medical teams that come through, who specialize in different, like one day you might have women's health focus. One day it might be osteo, the next day be heart related. But so they're focusing on different areas of health, and the local people and people as far away as can make it are treated there free. And it is just like state-of-the-art facility. And they also have an amazing cafeteria. And we ordered the regional dish called chofa. And it's kind of an Asian, Incan, Spanish fusion food. And so, of course, it happened to take the longest time we should have ordered a hot dog, but we ordered that. And the thing was, we had to get back to the road before 3 o'clock because it was going to close down. And we couldn't get back down the mountain. So we made it. We just took it with us, some of us. But I think that's
Son? Oh, I'll use this. Okay, our next stop, after we left Yantalo, we went back to Moyobamba, and then we flew to Iquitos. Iquitos is the largest city in the world that doesn't have a road to it. You can only get there via the Amazon or by plane. So everything you see in these pictures came by boat, was made locally, or was delivered on a plane, which is pretty amazing. This just shows the airport where we came in on. And the transportation mode there is they don't have a lot of cars or trucks. It's all motorcycles or moto taxis. We saw a family of 5 on a motorcycle. The husband was driving. The wife was sitting behind him, nursing a baby. There was a little boy on the handlebars, and there was a young girl sitting behind the mother. And you can imagine transportation of equipment that we might use is also complicated by this, because there are not a lot of good ways to get large pieces of equipment, for example, from one place to another. So that's a challenge there. This is a moto taxi. Beth and Jim are in there. When it rains, they have a piece of plastic with 2 pieces of wood on it, and they just raise that piece of plastic up and go in the rain. It hadn't rained in quite a few days. We got there, it poured, and we were in our motor taxis going to the church I'm going to show you in a second. This is the Amazon basis. It's a confluence. Iquitos is at the confluence of the 3 rivers that feed the Amazon. This is normally in the water, but because of that drought Sylvia mentioned, it's out by itself. Here we are at the Iglesia Baptista Peniel. And we started off with a meeting with the folks to find out kind of what was going on with the church. There'd been a transition in their pastoral staff. This is the sanctuary. We met with their water team here, and you can see our system. The building had been broken into, and the system somebody tried to steal part of the system. And so there was some repair work that had to be done. Here we are kind of analyzing what was going on. Carson luckily had some spare parts that we used to repair our filters. And we kind of got this system going again. One of their challenges is these systems provide water in 5-gallon, I won't say barrels, bottles. And you can imagine getting those large 5-gallon bottles in quantity to a place that you can only deliver stuff on an airplane or a 2,000-mile boat road is a challenge. So we talked through some of they did have their existing water team did not move, but this church transition, and the pastor, who was kind of the driving force, left. This is their new pastor, and he's trying to get things going again. And they also lost their church through some political maneuvering, lost their church property, and they're right now engaged in some, I guess, litigation to get that back. This is the back side of the room that has the water system. You can see the rain standing out here. They own this property, but right now it was flooded. This is the inside of their chapel. It's all hand hewn timbers. It's a corrugated roof. When that rain was coming down, we could hardly hear. This is the front of their church, the church entrance. It's in a very, it's like a suburb. It's a very poor suburb. That's a barrio. This is a moto taxi. This area right here, if you were coming towards us, there's a fire pit. And that's where they cook their food. There's a bathroom back here too. And this just shows the runoff of that rainstorm that we had while we were there. This is amazing to me. As I mentioned, you know, you can only get things here by plane or by boat. This is called a Sodomac. It's like a Home Depot or a Lowe's. And we were interested in this because so much of what we do is hard to source and hard to get to these places. So we went over and explored the Sodomac. Carson found a compatible pump with our system. And this is on Angel. And he was very helpful in helping us find. And we found about what, 75% of the things we would need to do future systems in this store. And it was in a mall that would look like any mall in the United States. Yeah, but it's kind of amazing to me that they're able to do that.
The mall was not there before COVID.
Yeah, they built it during COVID. So they were the country, as Sylvia mentioned, very, very hard hit. One of the hardest hit in the world by COVID. Okay, that's Beth. Oh.
This was one of our favorite systems that we put in 2011. It's in a very remote area of Puerto Alegria. It's outside of Iquitos, which again is this landlocked city. Well, this is down the Italia River, and the only way to access it is through a boat ride. So we take an hour or more boat ride, depending on how fast the motor's going. Sometimes it's taken us 2 hours, but this is a boys' home that was established by a group called Scripture Union that again has been hit hard by the pandemic, and they're struggling to keep going. But there's this man, can you point up here to the, in this group of boys, he's the director. He's actually an American from South Carolina, missionary. He's in his 20s. And he has gone back and refurbished and get these boys from the neighboring jungle. And that in Peru, boys get put out on the street, not girls, but they have such big families. So the boys get put out on the street as early as even 3 years old and with nowhere to go. And so when we first started going 15 years ago, these boys literally were just on the street. And so this boys' home was established, it's a whole big, it was a big organization. They had boys' homes across the country. And we started working by putting water systems into these homes. But this one is extremely isolated and has had extreme challenges for us getting our equipment there in 2011 when we initially put it in. The board got eaten up by termites and it had to be put back in a second time. So we were terribly disappointed, however, that the night before we were supposed to leave to get on our boat to go down there, we heard that the director had to leave the country for an emergency family situation. So we did not get to visit it. And we had really worked hard with what we wanted to do there. So we communicate with them through WhatsApp and Messenger. And since he is an American director, we have a little better access to him and trying to communicate with him what he needs, but he's doing a phenomenal job. And you can imagine, I mean, these boys, this water looks pretty clean, but normally it's just brown, dirty water because this is a tributary of the Amazon. And it also floods, so you can see the high steps come from the river up to where their housing is. So that top picture with the dog was where there's some of their cottages where the boys live. And when we first put the system in, we would go back and forth. We did not spend the night there, but our first system, I guess it took us 5 days to put it in. So But it's one of my favorite places because it's really so typical of what is Peru and how desperate it is. And even in these, distant areas. All right. So we're still in Iquitos area, which is this landlocked city.
This is Belen, which is it's kind of a suburb of Iquitos, but it's got 500,000 people, poor people living in there, and they're just mashed in all together. And the upper left is the market. They have an open air market, and it's really very open. No coolers or anything like that. I don't think they had any fans. It was just it was a market where they had the chickens and the beef and everything else cut up and the fish, and people went by and they bought what they wanted, and they I don't know if they got sick with it or not, but that's what they did. Down lower is the other things. You could buy anything in this market you wanted: clothes, trinkets, food, anything that you thought that you needed at your home at that time, you could find in this market somewhere. A couple of the places we don't have pictures of, they had stacks and stacks of spices, different kinds of spices. I mean, just rows and rows of them. And it was just very confusing but they all had labels, some in English and some in Spanish. And so it made a difference. And you can see looking around there. And over to the bottom right is one of the predators waiting for handouts and drop food and other things. And if you didn't watch it, they would jump on the tables and take a morsel for them. Right? It's a vulture.
They were cooking food and there would be a vulture right next on the tail within 2 feet of you. Stand there sitting there waiting for the trap.
Next slide. Okay, this is one of the potential places that we look for. That it's a school that has I don't know if it has 350, 400 students there. And we had a chance to talk to her. She was the director of the school to try to figure out if it was a possibility for a system in the future. And I don't know, do we do a Worley pack on that one?
The water system was the city water system was very unpredictable, and they didn't have enough water on a daily basis for the school. A lot of people in Peru have home systems, and she would stay up at night and purify water and bring it into the school so they would have enough for the kids.
She was up all night water for the kids. And then she said it was so long she went to grass and like the kids don't know all of
City water, total shut it down.
Next slide. All right, this is still in the Belen district, and these are as you can see, all these homes are built on stilts. But on the right is a space that one of the pastors who was in a church previously had moved to, and he envisions this area here to become a new church in this area because there's unmet needs for these people to be there. But he has a vision that he's gonna have the kids come and play a soccer match there, and then after the kids' soccer match, because all the parents will be there with them, then he's going to preach to them all and get them all with the idea that maybe they could have a church together and a community, and this is his project. So sometime this next year, he's planning to put a structure. There is water and electricity to it coming from the back of the property, and so he will have some water there. And I guess that again, we don't know how it won't be clean, and we don't know how predictable it is as far as free flowing or not, because you have to have a system where the water is consistent. If the water dries up, your water source dries up, then it's pretty hard to have a system that works if you don't have any water to do that. So, but that's, and then down on the right was where we always try to be community with the people that we're working with and get to know them better by having meals with them, because they actually eat pretty well. Of course, it's always chicken and rice, but it's still pretty good. They fix it well.
Probably don't want to eat some of this, people who have less sensitive stuff. You don't want to eat some of the fresh produce or drink some of the native water that's not bothered.
Right.
And right next to that empty lot, it was this little house that, and the door opened, and it was a woman that I had known 5 years ago. We had worked together at another church. She opened the door and we saw each other. She and I both just were so joyful and tearful at seeing each other and meeting each other again. I had no idea that was her house, but her brother is the Pastor Rogers that's opening the church next door. And so when we first met, she didn't have this beautiful child. She looked at us like, "What's wrong, Mom? Who is this person?" But we finally got a smile from her. But it was just so dear. And it just, to me, really captivated the whole part of what we're doing. We're establishing relationships and friends with these people. And so that was a real high point.
So here we are. We have left Iquitos and we've flown back to Lima. In Peru, there's few flights from one small city to the next. You fly from the city you're in back to Lima and then fly back out like spokes of a wheel. So we're back in Lima and we're with Willie. We've known Willie for maybe 6-7 years. He drives for us almost every time we're in the Lima area. And this time we asked him to drive for us, and he was with us for 4 days, all the way down to Ica and back. It was wonderful. We also reconnected with Billy Greenman right there with the dot. Billy and his wife, Kate. We met them when we first went to Iquitos in 2011. Billy was working for Scripture Union, and eventually he was a volunteer and eventually became an employee of theirs. Billy and Kate met on a junior high mission trip when they were in middle school at a place called Kauai, which you'll see in a minute. They're building a chapel on a mission trip, and they met their pastors. They were from different churches, and their pastors were brothers in Michigan, and they brought their youth groups together to Peru. And now they have Will, delightful young boy. He's in the 2nd grade now. It's just wonderful. So there we are in That's right. They're all Peruvian citizens now. This is Kauai. In the top right, Billy is working. Billy's a great translator, and he really helps us when we're there with the language in particular. Billy's also trained in our system technology, which is a real bonus for us, and he's helping us troubleshoot this system. This system is an ozone system. All our systems have 3 major components. They have filtration, microfiltration, and disinfectant. And the filtration, the microfiltration, the same in every system, but disinfectant can be UV light, like the system behind me on this table, the little silver can, or it can be an ozonator. We introduce ozone into the water to oxidize impurities. This Kauai has an ozonator, and that ozonator was installed in 2011. And with the addition of the complications of COVID, the ozonator was in need of major repair, and we actually had some parts and got them going with that. And that was a real purpose of this trip, was to make sure we could reconnect and get people operating again. That's a picture of the pump. The Kauai is right on the Pacific Ocean. When we first went there, it was a boys' home. Now it's a retreat and conference center. When it was a boys' home, they still had facilities for dining for groups. They had dormitories, they had meeting rooms, they have a swimming pool. And each Christmas, which is the beginning of their summer holiday, a lot of people in Lima or in Peru go to the ocean like we go to the beach, and they go to the beach for Christmas. And this lot right here is filled with campers and tents. And the water system now in Kauai is used for the groups that come in to do work, for the people who live there, the maintenance staff, the people who live there all year, and the people who come in to camp. And the water is just free for them as a part of their admission to camp there. And there I am with a bulb and to replace one of the bulbs in the ozonator. We're really glad we had those parts. And the top left, we're standing outside the chapel that Billy and Kate worked on as junior high students. This is the same chapel where years later they married in Peru, in that chapel. And they have these huge clay jars out front, one on either side of the main door, the main entrance. And those are wine containers. That's what they used to store the wine in, and they would dip it out the top. I think they would bury those point down, and the point on the jar is to help collect the sediment so they can dip the wine off the top without the sediment being in the wine. But we thought it was a great picture because of what we say here about we are all treasures in a jar. And we thought that was a great picture. This is in Ica. This is further south than Kauai. Kauai is about 90 kilometers down the Pan American Highway from Lima, and Ica is maybe 3.5 hours down the Pan American Highway from Lima. They have this is chickens. They raise chickens, and they have a garden as well, and that helps feed the boys. There they are cooking in the kitchen, and we had the dish on the right is their traditional Peruvian national dish, and it's chicken and rice and potato with gravy, and it's it's a yellow pepper sauce that goes on top of the potato and the rice. It's a very tasty meal. It's like their national, and it comes with ripe olives. Here we are with the top left, working with the boys, doing some work online, it looks like there. We try to do education, and we were there in the morning, and the boys were there, and there was a chance for Kate and Beth and Sylvie to do some education work with the boys, as Jim and Doug and I worked with the staff, the maintenance staff, to repair the equipment. The boys went to school in the afternoon, so we were free after we had lunch and they went to school. We moved on to another location. I'll show you that in a second. This is Jim looking at the ozonator, and they needed bulbs, and we were able to take the ozonator down off the wall and show them, replace one bulb, show them how to do it, and then handed everything to them, and their crew did the rest of it. We really believe in trying to teach them how to do it. It's not for us to do all the jobs. We want to teach them how to do it.
There was soldering involved and, getting wires cut the right way.
They're very, very technically savvy. All these people are. It's amazing. Next slide. Here's the lunch table, eating with the kids, enjoying a good time together. The kids are just delightful and excited to have guests. They don't see a lot of guests where they live. They go to school, they go to town, but to sit down with someone and have one-on-one time with them is very meaningful to them. It's very important. So we try to interact with them as much as we can. One of their favorite things is to come up and slap their foot down next to mine and compare the shoe size. They're amazed.
Google actually turned on fairly decent conversation. Google Translate.
Right, right.
We do it, they say something, we say we, and we carry on the conversation.
It works. Next slide. Here we are at Sylvia.
This was our only really downtime other than going to the Berlin market. We had time after finishing up at Ica to go to Huacachina. It's an actual oasis. And there's a story that this was formed by a mermaid who was going to be shot by a hunter, and she flees and she throws her mirror down, and the mirror becomes the water, and her flowing ropes that she loses on the way become the sand dunes. But the sand dunes, people are out there sandboarding on them. And we heard the one story about a Scotch minister who decided he was going to sandboard down the dune, and he was in the hospital several months there in Peru. So we didn't try that, but the girl on the far right, this is her quinceañera in Hispanic culture is 15, becoming 15, you're becoming a woman, and it's quite a celebration. And so this was her official photo shoot, and she allowed us to take a couple pictures. And there we are debriefing with a little beer and wine down there. So we really did relax there. But I mean, they have paddle wheel boats and kayaks, and it was people everywhere coming in with their children. The birds are fluttering around, and you really got the feel of what life on the oasis is like. So that was such a wonderful respite. Uh-huh. Oh. And Ica, which is just, kind of in the far distance there, Ica, when they do have rain, they have flash flooding. And the flash floodings from a year ago, March, came down and wiped out the water systems in Ica, the town itself, filled them up with sediment. It was the boys' school, Living Waters, filtration systems that supplied water for the town and the school. And this is our last evening. We have come back into Lima. We are at Museo Larco. It's a family-owned museum and restaurant. The rooms in the museum are in chronological order and have the most amazing collection of, stuff from early pottery and stonework, and then into the metallurgy, the gold, silver, plat. I mean, just, it's amazing. So no photos. And we had an hour. So Doug and I kind of ran through that. But then we had this wonderful, wonderful dinner, and Bailey and Kate joined us. And like Doug was saying, you Americans who aren't adapted to the local flora and fauna shouldn't be eating the vegetables and fruits and stuff. But there were these strawberries on my plate. I was going, come on, it's the last night. What could happen? Well, after a week or so, I did go get antibiotics from my doctor. But boy, those strawberries are really good. But yeah, if you've lived there, you become adapted. They will. So this is Willie taking us back to the airport that night, and there are. It was just such a wonderful stay because we did have these relationships, not just forming that night. The picture that showed Beth showing the boys the phone earlier, she was showing them pictures of when she had been there, 5 years earlier? They were boys that these little ones had grown up with, and they were recognizing faces and saying, oh, he's graduated, he's in the program now in the city. It was just, we don't just go in there and build a water system. We are side by side from the beginning of the project, and years later. For most projects, you say, well, 3 years, they're on their own. Well, this is what, 5 years? 11 years later, these relationships are still growing. And if we really, really saw the face of God, and those little children asking us to sign their shirts because some of them didn't have little autograph books, and sharing the fruit from their family garden, or I mean, it was really the kingdom. We were living in it, and they shared everything they had with us. So we just really wanted to thank you all at Westminster for allowing us the opportunity to go and be a part of this service and bring their love back, because they wanted Westminster to know without this church, they would not have water.
We were going to say a little bit about the systems we provide here are community systems, and in Peru, our community systems, the water is bottled and distributed. We also have probably the largest group of systems that are installed domestically in the United States, in Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, mostly in Macon and Hickman counties. We've installed 57 systems, I think now, 58. Oh yeah, we did one Friday. And those systems are for families. We go test the water, and generally they're on a well, spring, or a stream, and people are drinking water you wouldn't believe in the state of Tennessee. So we'll go up, test the water, and then work with our national office to design a system. And then a group of folks from here at Westminster will go out and we'll install the system for them, teach them how to use it and how to maintain it. And we're always looking for other people that are interested in joining our team of folks that do that. And our team generally is 5 to 8 people that go out, and we try to do them in a day if it's just a water system, and a couple of days if we also, sometimes we have to put up an enclosure so it doesn't freeze in the winter. Did you have a question? A few of us are engineers, but there's also and Carson, you may want to the.
Living Waters is organized on 3 levels of education. When you become a participating congregation, you send a team to be trained. We have 101s who are our admin people and logistical planners, Sylvia. We have educators, health, hygiene, and water education, 102s. Beth and my wife Janet over here are 102s. And then you have 103s who are the technical people that learn how to test water, design water systems, install the systems, teach others to install the systems, and teach them how to maintain it and to come up with a plan to sustain the system down the road to buy replacement parts and bottles. So we learn all that, and at a place called Clean Water U, teach in Oxford, Mississippi at a Presbytery camp. And they're also teaching once a year now at Camp Johnsonburg in New Jersey.
Carson is instructor at that school, but if you're interested, you can come on one of our installations, and you'll learn a lot of what you need to know about putting these systems in. We have several people who can do it, and we'll teach you what you need to do.
For domestic work, we train through the church. You don't have to go to Clean Water U to work on the team that works in Tennessee. We will train, we'll teach everything you need to know.
A lot of fun. And typically it's about an hour drive to where we go. We're there for a day. And, there's a lot of planning and buying and stuff that goes into the actual installation. But those days, all volunteers are welcome. They're welcome at any stage of the process. Any questions? Other questions? Good question. The filter, how long, we put in 2 filters. We put in one that filters out silt and larger contaminants. That filter you can clean it, 30 micron filter, you can clean it and it will last anywhere, depends on how dirty your water is, from a month to 6 months if you clean it. The 1 micron filter can't be cleaned, and it can last again, depending on how dirty your water is, from a month to a year. Your water doesn't have a lot of small contaminants in it. The UV light that we use in our Tennessee installations lasts 1 year. The lamps are about $50. The filters are $6 and $20. So they're not expensive. And we've partnered with the mayor's office in Macon County, and we ship filters and light bulbs to them, and people can go to the mayor's office, pay them, they get the money, we pick the money up and return it to Westminster, because we buy the things for that office. Yes. Let's see if I can find them all. One of the generating, stand up, Dennis. He's too tired. Dennis Williams is, along with Carson, one of the 2 people that really drove the system. So he should be recognized. And Dennis is a engineer and worked in the Army Corps water for many, many years. So he's an expert. He's also our PEX piping expert. Joe Gaines often goes on our trips. Joe's back here. Ken Garrison goes on our trips. Did I miss anybody?
Kelly in the back.
Kelly?
Haven't you gone? Oh, I thought you've signed up to go.
She She's on our mailing list. If you want to get on our mailing list, just contact me and I'll put you on the mailing list. I send out quite a few communications to tell people when we're going to be doing things, what to plan for and so forth. And there are a lot of opportunities to make trips and do these installations. One of the things that concerns us is, we want to bring in more people because as we all age out, of being able to do this, we want a younger cohort to come in and learn how to do it and to continue the mission.
Thank you. I think time's about up, but I want to thank Westminster and you for supporting this mission. 15 years ago, it was just a dream in someone's eye. And it has evolved over 15 years to this wonderful program and mission. And we totally, because this is a Westminster mission, we are totally dependent on Westminster for our funding and our support. We are part of the larger Living Waters for the World for training, but we get no funding from them. We actually help fund them as to keep the national board and operations working. But thank you and take pride in what you're doing because this is something I think Westminster really is proud, should be proud of. And we are known in the country for having a really strong team here and group. But you will talk around when you travel, and it's not just Presbyterians because there are other troops, other groups, but it is, I guess, principally started out as Presbyterians groups. But you will travel to a little town and you ask, do you know what Living Waters is? And it always amazes me when somebody says, oh yeah, we go to Haiti or we go to Dominican Republic or we go to Mexico. And it is just, it's amazing. So our mission is to give all of God's children clean water. Thank you.